The so-called Steinmeier formula appeared after a meeting of foreign ministers from the Normandy Four. It was a letter by the foreign ministers of Germany and France. In 2 pages, they set forth proposals on how to introduce a special procedure for self-government in the occupied territories.
I remember the ministerial meeting very well, when Steinmeier, Laurent Fabius, and I tried to convince Lavrov, but he refused everything and said that there would be no real election. And the Frank Walter and Fabius formulated this proposal.
In 2014, the Verkhovna Rada adopted a law on a special procedure for local self-government in the occupied areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. The law prescribed the conditions for an election and set a voting date, December 7, 2014. The Kremlin held elections ahead of schedule, and the so-called Steinmeier formula was an attempt to impose a special status on the Donbas without fulfilling the prescribed conditions.
In the letter, Steinmeier's formula is described as a transition to political stabilization. There are foreign troops, heavy weapons, and illegal paramilitary units on the territory. And in these conditions, someone is talking about the possibility of political stabilization. At the time, Russia's aggression had lasted less than a year, and there was still an understanding that with the help of our friends, we would be able to meet the minimum requirements of the OSCE. And now, given the crazy propaganda by Russian channels, it's clearly impossible to go back to how things were in 2014.
In the autumn of 2019, the so-called Steinmeier formula resurfaced. It is seen both as an instrument of pressure by the Kremlin and as an occasion to convene a Normandy Four summit. Negotiations in this format have not been held for 3 years.
Peace talks hit a dead end. Now Ukraine is showing that it is ready to negotiate, ready to offer its vision. This revived the discussion. They began sorting through the old ideas that were lying in the closet, among other things, in order to test society's reaction.
Ukraine is ready to introduce a temporary special administration in the occupied territory from the day of local elections. It can become permanent if the OSCE designates the elections as free and fair. Alongside this interpretation of the Steinmeier formula, the presidential team proposes a formula developed by Volodymyr Zelensky.
It is a matter of not making any constitutional amendments regarding the status of the occupied areas. The fulfillment of security obligations has to precede the fulfillment of the political part, and elections to local governments have to be held throughout Ukraine in safe and secure conditions.
Local elections are supposed to be held in 2020. The Verkhovna Rada will set the date. Whether it is possible to organize a free and open election process throughout the territory of Ukraine depends on the implementation of the Minsk agreements.
Russia completely controls those territories. Let's not pretend that these are independent people who can influence something. They are puppets.
The law on the special procedure of local self-government in the occupied territory expires on December 31st. The final decision to extend, amend, or replace it with a new formula will be made by the Verkhovna Rada after the negotiations. Reported by Eugenia Burda for UATV.